anniversary, guys. NDSS, woohoo! So, I am not going to walk away from the mic and talk. I am going to kick it right off with talking about 30 years of NDSS. And I thought, okay, about 2 weeks ago, I started thinking, what do I want to say in my opening remarks and the message from the general chair that goes in the proceedings. And I was thinking about this, and I thought, okay, I'm going to go back and look at the history. And so I did what anyone does, and I went to the website, and it helpful reorg of the website this year. And so it was nice and easy. We had everything on one page. I'm like, great. So I started 1993. I looked at what was there, 1994, 1995. I got to 2002, and I'm like, wait, that's year 10. So that would be the 10th year, which makes 2022 the 30th year, and we're the 31st year. And so in a complete panic, because again, 2 weeks ago, I'm emailing Karen going, this is the wrong anniversary, and we've planned everything around this being the 30th. As it turns out, if you notice closely, the very first NDSS was not a symposium. It was a workshop, and it was co-hosted by Lawrence Livermore Labs and by Internet Society. It was so successful that the Internet Society said, we are willing to host this. And they have been hosting it for the past 30 years. And it became a symposium that very second year. And so that is why we are now the 30th year celebration and very, very excited about it. As I give presentations through in the next few days, you'll hear lots of things that had little mini panics, just to give you an idea of what happens behind the scenes. So looking at 1994, I looked at the message from the General Chair, Dan Nessett. The first thing I noticed is it was 7.5 pages long, and it was actually a summary of the entire conference. So I am glad that in 30 years we have evolved to what we have now, where I do not have to do a summary of the entire conference and write 7.5 pages. But this quote really struck me. Cheswick then put up an overhead foil. How many people know what overhead foils are now? Okay, there's a few of you here. That listed the things that scared him about firewalls. Cheswick, by the way, is William Cheswick, known better as Ches, and he is the person, he and Steve Bellevin, basically invented the firewall early 90s. So here are the things that scared him about firewalls. The next sendmail bug, the M-bone, who here remembers M-bone? Oh, a couple of people again. MIME, logging telnet password usage, IP tunnels, and the 5S switches on the internet. In view of the internet attack that was announced by the CERT during the symposium, can you imagine only one attack being announced and everyone knowing about it during the entire symposium? All panelists suggested using some sort of challenge response system in addition to passwords, since firewalls cannot prevent unauthorized logins when only passwords are used and then compromised. So that's it, 1994, 30 years ago, two-factor authentication, guys, started here. So we have always been very, very prescient. So thinking about what happened in the last 30 years, 1994 had one guest speaker, 3 panels, and 15 papers. For comparison, 2023, fast forward a bit, we have 2 keynote speakers, which are both going to be fantastic. We have a panel, and we have 94 papers, so significant growth. On top of that, we also have 6 co-hosted workshops, 2 co-located symposia. We have a workshop highlight session, so if you weren't able to make the workshops or the symposium that you wanted to, there will be a highlight session that you can go to at least get a flavor of what occurred. We have a poster session. We have a birds of a feather session, which is going to be on, there's one for sure already registered on 5G, very well organized, looks really, really interesting. If you would like to set up your own birds of a feather, go to the registration desk and ask for Karen, and she will get you set up. We also have a special 30-year celebration session that will be talking about the last 30 years, and it's going to be a fun session. And of course, after that, we have a party. And I want to thank CISPA for the support for that party. And then we're also going to have a community meeting this year. So one of the things about turning 30, I love saying that, is as you grow, you start to reflect on life. And in this case, you start to reflect as a conference. What are our values as a conference? What do we like about ourselves? What would we like to change? How do we want to grow? How do we want to, how do we want the next 30 years to look? And so I challenge all of you to think about that as you're participating over the next 3 days, and come to the community meeting and give us your feedback and say, I like this, I love this about NDSS, I would love to see this change. We would love, NDSS exists because of you, so we want your feedback. Some other numbers. Oh, which is actually a build from the looks of it. No, it's not showing up. Well, on my chart, you will see, so this morning at, I don't know, around 8:10 in the morning, I went out to the registration, I'm like, give me the latest numbers. And they're like, we have 384 people registered on site. 5 minutes before I came up here, Karen came up to me and she's like, do you want the latest numbers? I'm like, I already have them. She's like, no. We have 408 people registered as on-site this year, so yay for being back. It also means we're going to run out of t-shirts. So after the keynote this morning, if you want a t-shirt, I would recommend going and getting it. Otherwise, you might get last year's. We also have 124 people who are attending remotely. And I was told the total number, which doesn't include the additional on-site registrations, and I'm not going to try to do math up here in front of a whole bunch of people. In fact, in front of 408 plus 124 people. The one thing I will say is we are trying very hard to support a hybrid environment. That's something else I want you to reflect on and come back to the community meeting and say, what form of hybrid would you like us to support? And we would love to have your feedback on how that goes and what your perceptions are. So a couple of quick reminders. Tuesday, we have the poster session, that's today. We have the poster session at 4:30. That's just going to be outside here in the foyer in the boardroom, which is next door. On Wednesday, we have all of the fun parties. So I know you guys are all going to love this group picture, guys. At noon, in the stairs to the lawn. I want all of you to think good thoughts, good sunny, warm thoughts for that picture. At 3:15, we have the plenary session in here. That is going to be the 30-year retrospective. At 6 o'clock, we have the party. The party is off-site. It's about a 20-minute walk from here. If you know, if you go south down Mission Beach, if you know the roller coaster, that's the area where the party is. And that's at 6 o'clock. If you're looking for something to do between 4:15 and 6, that is when the BOF sessions are. Please do join those. Thursday, we have the community meeting I've already mentioned. That's happening at 3:30 in here. And then we have the social hour, 4:30 to 5:30, and that's going to be out in the foyer again. Relax, chat with everyone, and that will wrap up the symposium part of NDSS, and then Friday we go into our final workshops. This would not occur if it wasn't for a whole bunch of people supporting us. And so we really like to thank our sponsors, our gold sponsors, Google, NSF, and TikTok. A huge thank you to them. Our silver sponsors, Future Way Technologies, IBM, Palo Alto, Meta, Huawei, Netflix, Checkpoint. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Also, huge thank you to our vehicle sec sponsors, ASU, GM, okay, good, I have the right slide up. ETAS, Qualcomm, Cybertruck Challenge, NSF, and I'm assuming it's pronounced Zoox, one of the two. And another thank you to our t-shirt sponsors, BlockSec, for our lanyard sponsor, Qualcomm, and for our reception sponsor, ASU. Other people that help make this happen, or organizations, Usenix Security helps with the publications, San Diego Supercomputer Center helps with networking, and we are hosted for the 30th year, Internet Society. So a huge thank you to everyone there. My only other comment would be tweet about us. NDSS 2020, hashtag NDSS 2023, it is going to be fantastic. And with that, I am going to turn it over to Wanyan, our program chair, to give her updates and all the really cool fun numbers.
No, no, because it's made like there's also bars. Pictures in there and bars.
Oh. Okay. Too late. Okay, so we just wish you will see all the bars. The bar will not disappear. Okay, and I'm Wen Yuan from Zhejiang University. This is Matthias. I'm our okay, so this is the computer scientist, right? This is the hacker. Regardless of the rule, we'll still try to use our own laptop. So Matthias and I, actually last year, we have the event in April, right? So we only have like 10 months to prepare this venue. So I'm just gonna keep going while they're doing the hacking stuff, okay? So yeah, so if we look last year at, you gave up? No, not yet. Okay. So last year, we have the hybrid event, right? Starting from 19, we're not seeing real person, but starting from last year, NDSS started to bring people in, but I was unable to attend the meeting, and I was hanging on the wall with my face larger than your height, right? So this year, I'm so happy to be here and in person. Let's just pretend this year we are all in-person event. Forget about the one virtually online. Okay, so, well, we know last year at, we have the during the COVID things, we have postponed cancellation, but the good news is starting from today, there's no more cancellation, no more delay, we're back to normal, right? Yay. Okay, so I know you don't care about the first part. You're interested in the statistics, so I'm gonna hand it to Matthias. He will tell you some magic number.
Cool, thank you, Vinyan. So let's get started with some of the numbers. Some of you were part of the PC, so you may already know a subset of those, but it's also an opportunity for you to learn about some of the details. So let's start with the statistics. It's super hard to read, the one at the bottom, right? Especially if you have a bright light in your face. So 2 decades of NDSS. Here we're gonna give you some feedback and details about the acceptance rates. We had a massive number of submissions this year, 581 total across the 2 submission cycles. 94 papers were accepted overall in this cycle. So thanks for sending in so many amazing papers, and it's great to see so many of you here presenting, but also from the PC and across all the different areas and regions. Some of the historical acceptance rates, so it's been jumping up and down quite a bit. We are at 16.2% now. This number could be higher. This number should be higher, right? So we want to push towards a more positive reviewing experience. So when you're on the PC, try to be positive, try to argue for the paper and see or search for reasons to accept. So I'll be looking forward to having a higher acceptance rate next year as we go forward. Let's break the acceptance rate down a bit and look into the paper decisions during the review process. So about 50% of papers were rejected during the R1, the first phase. This is pretty much common across all the different venues. And then another 1/3 or so was rejected in the second phase. So if your paper makes it to R2, there's about a 50% chance of your paper getting in. So this is good, right? And we can spend some additional cycles on those. Another thing that I'd like to highlight here, there's only 13 plus 9, so 22. I can do some math, but only small numbers. There's 22 papers that were reasonably directly accepted. This number is way too low, right? So we need to have higher numbers of papers not going through major revisions in that regard, right? So as a PC, we need to focus on improving and getting back to a more sustainable amount of accepted papers. Looking through the kind of distribution for the reviews for accepted and rejected papers. So for rejected papers, it's pretty clear that there's at least like reject and leaning to reject for the majority of the reviews, pushing the bar quite a bit to the right for accepted papers. Like we have a huge peak around major revision. This seems to be the neutral decision. Like we want to shift this more towards the minor revision and the accept side. Going forward, the average scores in round 1 and round 2. So the scores were slightly higher in the second rounds, in the second cycle of reviewing. So this is but pretty stable across the 2 cycles. There were about 3 times as many paper in the second cycle than in the first. This was it about just the feedback and the details about the revision, not the revisions, the submission cycles. I'll hand it back to Wenyuan about some of the cool things you didn't know about NDSS.
So for the 9 things, actually, we're trying to ask question, right, as scientists. What can you do to improve your chance to get your paper accepted? So that 9 things is about that. Okay, I'm going to show you some number. I mean, we only believe in data, right? Okay, so first thing you want to do when you start to write a paper is pick a topic, right? So here's the number. This is the rejected papers by topics. Well, if you are in machine learning and AI, sorry. If you are in key management, well, you have the least number of rejections. So let me give you the number. So we have 133 machine learning paper got rejected. And we only have 7 papers of key management got rejected. But people say, stay positive. Why? Matthew just said, stay positive. Why you just look at the rejected paper? So here's the accepted paper by topics. No surprise. Machine learning actually is in the rank 1. Of course, if you're doing web-based application and services, good news, you have less number of rejection and the highest number of accepted paper, right? Then you say, as you review paper, you say, this is not scientific enough, because we're looking at the statistics, right? Okay, so here's finally the ratio, right? Okay, so this is acceptance top rate by topics. And now, if you want to choose web-based application and services, if you already have chosen that, and key management, good news. Your acceptance rate is actually, okay. So this is actually the acceptance ratio by, I should look at that, by topic. So if these topics have the highest rate, it's about 31%. So it's twice the average acceptance ratio. Okay, so next year, I'm not sure that number will stay. If you have a topic in anti-malware technology, I'm sorry, the acceptance rate is only 2.2%. Really tough situation. Okay. Okay, so the next thing is where should you choose to live to have papers accepted? So we collect like our authors lives in 24 countries. And not surprisingly, most of the authors are from the United States. And if we look at the tail, in the end, that's Sweden. And that's Portugal, India. I think that's Hungary and Greece. And okay, that's the number that we can calculate next year. I'm not going to do that today. Okay, so if you're in the US, seems like you have a good news. Again, we only look for ratio, right? So if you live in one of these 4 countries, the good news is that although there's only 1 paper, I guess, except for authors from Portugal, but it's like 33% of the, that's the acceptance ratio, right? Romania, Sweden, Singapore. Hey, Singapore, okay. And if you're in Belgium or China, unfortunately, yes, please. Unfortunately, the acceptance ratio is only 11% or 13%, so tough out there, okay. Okay, so how many authors, co-authors should you invite? This is the rate, right? If we look at the accepted papers by the number of the authors, and it looks like the sweet number is 5. You have 22 papers accepted if there are 5 co-authors. If you have 12 co-authors, only 2 of them got accepted. 10, I'm sorry, only 1 paper got accepted. 2 authors, not a good number. So start to collaborate, right? Again, this number is not scientific. We should always look at the ratio. So here's the ratio. Actually, the good news, if you pick 12 authors, well, your acceptance rate is 100%. That's the magic number. So what number to avoid? 10. I don't know why. Well, if you only have like 2 authors, again, the acceptance ratio is really low. It's only like 7%. So time to collaborate, trust me. The world needs collaboration. Okay. Okay, one more thing. Accepted papers by the number of countries. So we have papers, they have authors coming from the same country, or the largest number of countries is 4 countries. So this actually raised the question, should we do international collaboration, right? Given the situation these days, well, we have COVID, a lot of blocking in front of us. So as this number tells, COVID does force us to stay in one country. Well, I escaped this time, right? Okay, so again, let's look at the statistics. So actually, if you collaborate with authors in 4 countries, you have 3 times higher acceptance rates than the one from only in 1 country. Okay, so now here's the magic, right? Although your advisor told you, if you want to have your paper accepted, you need to have a brilliant idea, do outstanding work, get interesting and fantastic, amazing result, write superbly, and follow the call for paper guidelines. There's an easy way to do it, right? Find 12 co-authors in 4 different countries, write about key management in web-based application and services, and move to one of these 4 countries, Romania, Singapore, Portugal, Sweden. Then bam, you're gonna have the paper accepted much easier, okay. Okay, so here, the technical program won't be possible without our dear PC. So I list all the name of the PC here. I would like to invite the PC in this room to stand up and let's say who they are and give them a big thank. For the rest, I'm going to hand back to Matthias.
Cool. One more note. The good thing is that for the authors in the room or for the PC members in the room, you're safe. Only most of the people here come from accepted papers. So this is all good. So let's look at some additional numbers, right? Hot crap comments over time. And there's an interesting distribution regarding time zones, right? So there's, we have some peaks towards the Eastern time zone or the regular workday in the Eastern time zone, and some additional peaks towards midnight. So maybe people are working more at night or across different time zones. Maybe some people are shifting and whatnot. But we found it interesting to see that, hey, there's some like some peaks during the main work week or work day of different people. Interestingly, hot crap comments by PC members. So there's a very long tail with a slight outlier that you may notice on this slide. And one thing I didn't anticipate as much is how many just how many comments you're going to write in hot crap as a chair. Like instead of writing reviews, you're saving time writing reviews, but you're spending much more time actually writing hot crap comments. And both of us had a massive amount of comments out there. Again, we thank our program committee, who did an amazing amount of work, a massive amount of reviews, all the 102 PC members. So thank you again for all your support. And we'd like to end with the program. Like today, we have welcoming remarks and whatnot, then 3 parallel sessions throughout the day. Pick the sessions that you're most interested in. We tried to schedule as much as we could so that there's not too much topic overlap, so you can pick your kind of themes that you're interested in, which is an NP hard problem, right? So you're trying to schedule across all the papers, across all the different sessions, and trying to minimize overlap and sections between the different topics. And then you get a couple of authors complaining to you that their paper ended up in the wrong session and must absolutely be moved because it's going to be the most important paper overall. So we try to figure out all these different constraints and hope you're going to enjoy the program. And this is all from us for this year. You'll hear more again next year. Now we're going to hand it over back to Carrie and then for the keynote speakers. Thank you very much. Enjoy the conference.